Thank you so much, and thanks to everybody for coming. Thanks for the people from the UU crowd for whom we are doing this, and thanks to everybody else from around who decided to come and see how it was done. I'm Ellen Kushner. Here is the band, and you may be wondering why we're doing Esther, the Feast of Masks, a celebration of Purim in June. This is not, or is it June? Is it still June? Yeah, it's still June. This is not one of those Christmas in July things. The fact is that while Purim is the time when Jews read the story of Esther in the synagogue, the story of Esther, I feel, even as divorced from the Purim story, has a tremendous amount to say to all of us. In fact, traditionally, even though Esther is officially the heroine, she isn't the one that most of the songs are about. She isn't the one that most of the stories and books are about. It's always the guys and what they did, the king, the cousin, the evil minister. So this is our chance to set it right and really just focus on Esther and her experience of the holiday, of the story, as a representation of what it means to put on a mask and to take off a mask in many different ways. So what we're going to do is a retelling of the book of Esther, and just as Jeff was thinking about his comic book that he read when he was a kid, I remember Sunday school where we would all dress up and act out the characters and do these little Purim plays. Here what we're going to do is actually call on an older custom. In the old country, it was actually not the kids but the adults of the community who put on Purim costumes and masks. And they would do these satiric, irreverent, very contemporary, possibly even subversive portraits of their lives and times that were based on the biblical narrative. So as our story today unfolds, you're also going to meet a set of adult 20th century characters whose conflicts mirror those of the ancient Esther story. Like the characters in the story, our modern people will find themselves making difficult choices about heritage and identity. Because there is a lot going on in the book of Esther, but what really interests me the most is the way that the women in it are always hiding and then revealing their true selves, their true natures, and what it means to them and their communities when they do that. I am Ellen Kushner. I'm going to present now my musicians. We have Michael McLaughlin, Mary Casey, Joe Kessler, and we are all now going to present to you Esther, the Feast of Masks. Now it came to pass in the days of King Ahasuerus, that same king who ruled the great and fabulous Persian Empire all the way from India to Ethiopia, it came to pass that the king invited all the great lords of his empire to his palace in the capital city of Shushan. There he gave a tremendous banquet that lasted for 7 days and 7 nights. Meanwhile, at the other end of the palace, the king's wife, the dazzlingly gorgeous Queen Vashti, threw a feast for the women of all these lords. After 7 days of drinking from golden goblets, the king and his guests grew merry with wine, and Ahasuerus sent then for Vashti, the dazzlingly gorgeous queen, to come and display her virtues before the great lords of Persia. And Vashti sent word to the king, saying, no, she would not come. Oh dear, said the princes and the nobles and the men of the court. This is a problem. When word of this gets out, what's to stop all the women of Persia from deciding that they too can say no to their husbands whenever they please? Oh, great king whose radiance illumines all the world, get rid of this Vashti and find another wife. And it was so. I was married to him for a long time. My mother always said, it's as easy to fall in love with a rich man as a poor one. I went to college, certainly I went to college, but everyone knew that a girl who was serious about life was only going to get her MRS. Sure enough, in my sophomore year, at a Peggy Lee concert, I met Arthur, and that was that. Oh, he was handsome. He didn't have all that money, not yet, but this was someone who knew that he deserved the best. I certainly had my good points. Remember that crazy rhyme we used to do with those chest exercises? We must improve the bust. Can you do this? The tighter the sweater, the bigger the better. The boys depend on us. We must improve the bust. The bigger the better, the tighter the sweater. The boys depend on us. I was okay there. I had nice legs. I knew how to dress. Although, to tell you the truth, my hair wasn't always so perfect. I mean, who wants to sleep with the rollers on your head every night? But anyway, along comes Arthur, and on went the rollers every night like religion. I talked to my sisters, too, my sorority sisters. We traded magazine articles like 10 Ways to Tell If You're Truly Feminine. I even had a book. I think I still have it somewhere. How to Find Your Man and Keep Him. Do they still publish stuff like that? Anyway, I really studied hard, like keep your eyes extra open when he's talking. And on went the rollers, and never be seen without full makeup, powder puff, you don't want a shiny nose, rouge, not too much, you don't want to look like a slut, eyeliner for that alluring look, mascara, not too much or it cakes, and never, ever go out without a tube of lipstick in your purse. Well, Arthur invited me to a party at Sigma Alpha Rho. When I walked out to his car, well, the way he looked at me, it was all worth it. I didn't graduate. What was the point when I had a ring on my hand? Arthur was graduating. He had a good job already. So we got married in June. I wore a cocktail-length silk charmeuse with a beaded neckline and a veil of illusion. I walked down the aisle, and oh my God, I felt like a queen.
Well, I give to you and you give to me true love, so on and on it will always be true love, for you and I have a guardian angel on high with nothing to do but to give to you and to give to me love forever true. For you and I have a guardian angel on high with nothing to do but to give to you and to give to me love forever true, love forever true.
was lovely. Really lovely. I had my own house. We entertained. I remember I had a whole drawer full of little hostess aprons. Not for cocktail parties, though. Then I was pure siren, sleek from head to toe, with a girdle that'll kill ya. No kids. Not yet. Arthur was moving up. I needed to look good. There was plenty of time. Besides, he didn't like it when I spent too much time talking to another girl at a party. How would he feel when I was off singing lullabies and changing diapers when my husband wanted my attention? He could talk to all the women he wanted to, of course. He explained it like this. Women are the true power of the household. If a woman likes you, she goes home and tells her husband how great you are. It influences him. What about me, I said. Do I influence the husbands while you're talking to the wives? Oh, absolutely, Arthur said. They see you looking drop-dead gorgeous, and they're influenced all right. About what? I asked. I was very naive. I didn't know anything about business. About me, he said. They know you're mine, and it inspires confidence. Well, he must have been right, because business was good. We took vacations. I got tanned in exotic places. I spent hours with the decorator. I could buy whatever I wanted. My clothes were gorgeous. The beauty salon would cancel someone else to give me an appointment. I looked in the mirror one day, and I realized I was perfect. I was really perfect. I saw the face Arthur wanted to see. I looked, and I started to cry. It was awful. My eyes got all raccoony with the mascara and the eyeliner running down. I don't know what got into me. I fixed my makeup, and we went out to dinner. Dinner with some very important people. And there were all the men with the wine list, debating over the chateau, this and that. And they say to the wives, how about the Grand Cru Lafitte 57, dearest? And all the wives say, why, that sounds wonderful, darling. And I swear I don't know what got into me. And I say, I kind of like the Boone's Farm 62 myself. It has such an alluring bouquet. I really said that. I know I did, because Arthur screamed it at me about 50 times when we got home later. I said, what's so awful? They thought it was funny. And he said, very funny. You think it's a joke making me look stupid in front of my friends? And I said, you. I'm the one who was talking, Arthur, not you. I just said it. It just came out of my mouth like that. But I realized it was true. I realized it was like me, Rita. Like I'm supposed to be him in disguise or something? Him in a tight dress making sure the husbands like me, even if they're not so sure about him. So what does that make me, I wonder? Me without my makeup. Me without my hairdo. Who's in there anyway? Everything's changed. This girl, woman I met at the beauty parlor, and I have started a consciousness-raising group. We are so excited. I'm reading Betty for Dan and that French girl, Simone. We are sharing the experience. All of them. Here's what happened next. Arthur said, what are you sitting around in that schmata for? Get dressed. We have a party to go to tonight. And I said, no. That's it, just no. And he said, what do you mean, no? Should I tell him you're sick? I said, I'm not sick. I'm just not coming with you. I've got a women's group meeting. He said, you want me to show up without my wife? Do what you want. I said, I'm going to my meeting. Oh, that's beautiful, he says. That's just beautiful. What do you think would happen, Rita, if every woman just did whatever she wanted to without her husband? Arthur, I said, I've got a meeting every Tuesday night. You've known that for how long? He said, you come with me or else. Or else what? I said. Or else what? It's all right, Arthur. You can keep the house.
Go away from my window. Oh, please go away from my door. Just go away from my bedside, and please don't bother me no more. Oh, don't bother me no more. I'm gonna tell all my brothers, you know, I'll tell my sisters too, that the reason I'm leaving here, you know, it's all because of you. It's all because of you. Window, you just go away from my door. Just go away from my bedside, and don't you bother me no more. Don't you bother me no more.
So I'm moving into a little apartment with my friend Lorna, who's also getting a divorce, and her darling 3-year-old Nate. Oh, was that a story? I had to show her all about how to look good so the judge would take her side. That I know how to do. Next thing you know, Lorna's working in a daycare center, and I'm helping at the soup kitchen for poor women. God, what a dump that is. And the food, oh my God, I'm going to call some people and see if they won't donate to make it nicer. These women deserve a little something after all they've been through. And if there's one thing I do know how to do, it's throw a party. And my mother always said, if I am not for myself, who will be? But if I'm only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when?
You can sing along if you'd like. I ain't gonna step down off of that riverboat. I ain't gonna step down off of that riverboat. Because if I step down off of that riverboat, well, I don't think that I'm gonna float. Because there's mud just below that sparkling water. Oh, there's mud just below that sparkling water. And it's soft, soft, deep and warm, settled neath the river once in a storm. Mud just below that sparkling water. When, oh when will I ever learn? It's not just fire that makes me burn. It's not just ice that cools my flaming skin. But if I give up, it'll cook me good, 'cause that ain't the road to sisterhood. And where I'm going ain't the same as the where I've been. So I ain't gonna step down off of that riverboat. I ain't gonna step down off of that riverboat. 'Cause if I step down off of that riverboat, well, I don't think that I'm gonna float. Because there's mud just below that sparkling water. Oh, there's mud just below that sparkling water. And it's soft, soft, deep and warm, settled neath the river once in a storm. Mud just below that sparkling water. I ain't gonna step down off of that riverboat. I ain't gonna step down off of that riverboat. 'Cause if I step down off of that riverboat, well, I don't think that I'm gonna float. No, I don't think that I'm gonna float.
And so the word went out from the palace of the king to gather up all the most beautiful maidens and to let King Ahasuerus choose from amongst them which could please him the most to be his next queen. Now, living in Shushan was a certain Jew named Mordecai, and living with Mordecai was an orphan girl. Her cousin Mordecai had raised her as his own daughter. Her Hebrew name was Hadassah, the fragrant myrtle tree. But her Persian name was Esther, after Ishtar, the goddess of love, the evening star. Esther was very beautiful. Esther went with the other eligible maidens to the king's house. But, said Mordecai, be sure that you tell no one where you come from or who your people are. So Esther told no one that she was a Jew. Each of the maidens went to the king in turn, drenched in perfume and jewels and precious oils. But Esther wore only the simplest of gowns. And Esther found great favor in the king's eyes. And King Ahasuerus set the royal crown upon her head and made Esther his queen in place of Vashti. But still, she told no one where she came from or who her people were. I don't have to tell them anything. They tell me. Oh, Miss Ida, they say, I don't mean to be personal, but I admire your exotic good looks and just like that Merle Oberon in the pictures. Now, is your family Italian or French? I do have a little Cherokee in me, I say. That could be it. I do not have these conversations often. I do not attend many social functions, but from time to time, as vice principal of the Warren G. Harding Junior High School, I am expected to socialize with parents and teachers at our school. I do have a great admiration for our science teacher, Mr. McKenna. Mr. Ronald McKenna is a true gentleman. I have never heard him say an unkind word about anyone, and he gives of his time most generously to the church youth group. He is patient and mannerly, even with such colorful personalities as old Mr. Hayden, our school custodian. Mr. Hayden sees what he calls communists under every bush. Mr. Hayden can also be quite voluble on the subject of coloreds, as he calls them. I believe he thinks there is some connection. Mr. Hayden was cleaning the chalkboards in Mr. McKenna's classroom, and he treated us to a little civics lecture. Why, Mr. McKenna, Miss Ida, he told us, anyone in America could be a communist, even President Roosevelt, and for sure that wife of his. You know who can't hide, though? That's a colored. You can always tell a colored, even one who's trying to pass, no matter how much white blood they have. The shape of the ears gives them away, or the palms of their hands, which are pinker than normal. I held out my hand for his inspection. You mean like this one? Mr. Hayden had the grace to blush and turn away, but Mr. McKenna, seemed to perceive it as an invitation to take my hand in his, saying, "This is the palm of a woman of character." When he asked me to join him for coffee, I heard myself saying I'd be delighted. When he invited me to his sister's house for Sunday dinner, I found I had no other plans. Last night, we sat on the front porch for a long time, rocking on the swing and talking together. "Miss Ida," he said, "I'd be pleased to meet your people someday." But I told him I have no people.
I am an orphan along God's highway, but I'll share my troubles if you go my way. I have no mother, no father, no sister. I have no brother. I am an orphan girl. I have had friendships pure and golden, but the ties of kinship, oh, I have not known them. I know no mother, no father, no sister. I know no brother. I am an orphan girl. Along God's highway, and I'll share my troubles if you go in my way. Be my mother and be my father, or be my sister. Won't you be my brother? I am an orphan girl. I am an orphan girl.
At the bottom of my glove box, I keep all my mother's letters. I cherish the very first one she sent me when I was a freshman co-ed at Oberlin College. "Dear daughter," she writes, "we are so proud of you. It is on young people like you that the future depends. The centuries of degradation will soon be behind us." I did love school. My newfound chums and I, from diverse backgrounds, all but united in our passion for learning, would sit up long into the night discussing philosophy and poetry and physics and the meaning of life, and how we could use our knowledge to make this world a better place for ourselves and our children to come. One weekend, my cousin Morley drove in from Toledo, where he had a job as a bank clerk, to take me out to lunch. We rolled away in his motor car, but a state policeman pulled us over soon, and he was speaking not to Morley, but to me. "Is everything all right, miss?" he said. "Are you where you wanna be in this man's car and everything?" Why, of course, officer, I said. This man is my cousin. Your cousin, huh? Okay, no need to get huffy, little lady, he responded. I'm just trying to help. When I see a colored man out driving around with a pretty young white girl, I figure it's my duty to make sure there's nothing going on. Nothing she doesn't want, I mean. When he had driven off, I sat mute in amazement. Ida, said Morley, haven't you ever been taken for white before? I said, no, I hadn't even thought of it. Well, you may as well start getting used to it, he said. Other Negro men are going to find themselves in the same predicament with you. Are you suggesting that I start dating white boys? You could do more than that, he said. You could cross over entirely if you wanted to, Ida. You mean just pretend all the time to be something I'm not? If you want to put it that way, yes. You wouldn't be the first, even in our family. Don't look so shocked, Ida. You're growing up. It's time you faced the facts about the world we live in. Do you know how long it took me to get a job, even with a college degree? If I had a complexion like you and hair like yours, I wouldn't think twice. Wait until you get out there, Ida. Just wait. Wait until you watch their faces change right in the middle of a job interview when you tell them who your people are. If you tell them. Try it one way and then the other. You'll see.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Long, long way from home. Such a long, long way from home.
I still write to my mother, of course, and she writes to me about all the family's doings and how proud they are of my position here at the school. I keep all their dear photographs locked up in my vanity. I know that's unwise, but whenever I decide it's time to tidy up, I just can't quite. There was no question of their attending my wedding. Ronald's relatives were there in force, of course. I have sent my mother a photograph, though, of me in my white gown with Ronald at my side, handsome and stalwart and upright. I do love him so much. I would rather die than risk losing him. We are going to make a good life together and be very happy.
Step we gaily, on we go, heel for heel and toe for toe, arm in arm and row on row, of the Murray's wedding. Over pathways up and down, myrtle green and bracken brown, past the shieling through the town, for the sake of Murray. Step we gaily, on we go, heel for heel and toe for toe, arm in arm and row on row, of the Murray's wedding. Bright the cheeks as Rowan's are, brighter far than any star, fairest of them all by far is my darling Murray. Step we gaily, on we go, heel for heel and toe for toe, arm in arm and row and row of the Murray's wedding.
it came to pass that the king appointed a mighty counselor named Haman, and commanded everyone to bow low in the dust before him. It was the custom of Esther's cousin Mordecai to sit at the king's gate to learn how Esther was getting along in the palace. When Haman passed by, Mordecai would not bow down. Haman was furious, so furious that he decided then and there not only to exterminate Mordecai, but every single other Jew as well. Haman went to the king, and he said, "There is a certain people living amongst us. These Jews have wormed their way into every corner of your noble empire, and yet they keep themselves apart. They pretend to be like us, but they have their own laws and their own ways. For the security of your kingdom, they should be destroyed. And I personally will put 10,000 bags of silver into the royal treasury to supply swords and axes for every true patriot to cut them all down until not a Jew is left alive in the kingdom of Persia. That is, if your majesty agrees." They're that bad, are they? Ahasuerus thought for a moment. Well then, they're history. By the king's command, the order went out. On the 13th day of Adar, the mass extermination would take place throughout the empire. Anybody who wanted to was welcome to kill as many Jews as he could and take all their belongings for himself. Esther the queen was sitting in her chambers when her attendants came running to tell her that her friend Mordecai was out there on the streets wandering up and down and wailing. "What on earth is going on?" she asked. Her cousin came and told her all about Haman and the terrible decree. "You must go to the king and beg for the life of our people." "Are you out of your mind?" Esther cried. "You know the rules. Anyone who approaches the king without being summoned is put to death." But Mordecai said, "Do you honestly think that when they exterminate the rest of us, you will be the one Jew left sitting safe here in the palace?" And he told her, "Who knows, Esther? Maybe this is the whole reason that you were made queen in the first place, so that when this moment came, you would be here and ready." Esther stood up, straight and tall. "Go," she said. "Go tell all the Jews of Shushan to fast with me together for 3 days and 3 nights. At the end of that time, I will go to the king. And if I perish, I perish." And on the 3rd day, Esther put on her finest clothing and went to the throne room of the king without being summoned. Dear Mom, I can't believe I'm finally here in Africa. Rwanda is so beautiful, truly the land of 1,000 hills. I feel like I've already driven over half of them in the Jeep from the airport. Our village is amazing, nestled on the slopes of a volcano that I'm assured almost never blows up. Don't worry, Mom, it's safe. The hills are incredibly green, no lava. When I signed up for this irrigation program, it really was just an excuse to get to Africa. Ethical tourism, as my friends call it. But now I'm falling in love with Rwanda. I want to help make it a good land to live in. I know we don't know which country our ancestors came from, but this feels strangely like home. Wouldn't it be weird if we were really from Rwanda? More later. Love, Natalie. Mom, thanks for the package. You were right. Transatlantic Mars bars were not the best idea in July. But I don't care. I just licked the goo from the paper. My friend Jonah thought I was nuts. I gave him a taste, and he said, it's probably better in its native environment. Jonah is very polite. He's from the big city, Kigali. Jonah's people, the Tutsi, are the minority in Rwanda. In colonial days, they were in charge because, get this, the Belgians thought they looked more like Europeans. You know, with narrower faces, smaller noses. The majority, the Hutu, are supposed to be shorter, redder skin, stockier. Frankly, I can't see the difference. Jonah says that in Kigali, things can get weird about who's Tutsi and who's Hutu. I think he's really happy to be here with us. People in the village seem pretty relaxed. In fact, the village head is a Hutu and his wife is Tutsi, so it's cool. I bought Grandma Ida a basket at the market. Grandpa Ron is going to be harder. Do you think he'd like a machete? He could hang it next to his power drill. Hugs to all. Love, Natalie. Dear cousin Marlene, what I don't see is why people say I look Tutsi. It's also confusing because other times people call me white. My friend Jonah finally explained that one to me. It's not just my skin color, which is a lot lighter than any Rwandan. It's that all Americans count as white over here. Ick. I come to Africa looking for my roots, and I turn out to be white? Just kidding. But there's no question I've got, well, white privilege over here. I mean, how weird is that? The other night, some friends and I were driving back from town after dark. Pitch black fields stretching out on either side. So just as we're headed down the road to our village, we're stopped by a roadblock. Guys with flashlights and, get this, machine guns. They shine their flashlights in on all of us, all these clueless little American kids, and then the light stops on me. All these flashlights right in my eyes, and they're staring, and Teresa's going, oh my God, get out your passport, show them you're American, don't you have your passport with you? And then finally the light moves on, and they waved us through, and everything was cool, and we went, and everything was good, but what did they want anyway? And what if I had been Rwandan? It's the first time I've really thought it'll be good to come home in the fall, besides missing you, of course. In other news, Jonah says I have a cute little nose. He just says that to irritate me. He's going back to school in September. We're going to write. Dear Mom, what a difference a few years make. Back in Rwanda, flight was fine. No Jeep this time at the airport. I got an embassy car. Quite an honor for somebody who's only junior staff. Oh, and get this, Jonah was waiting with flowers. That guy. He's with the government now. A token Tutsi, he says. Apparently the Hutu government gives them minor positions to make sure the foreign aid keeps coming in. That's Jonah's take on it anyway. I didn't think he was so cynical, but he says when I see the papers, I'll understand. Later, okay, I see what he means. The government-sponsored papers openly call the Tutsis traitors, saying they're not true Rwandans. I mean, it's right there. This isn't like digging a village well or laying pipes. This is the big time. I hope I can make a difference. And I hope I can make a diplomat, too. I really want you to be proud of your loving daughter, Natalie. Dear Marlene, for God's sake, don't show this to my mom or Aunt Connie or anybody, but I have to tell someone. Things are really bad here, cuz. The state radio is actually broadcasting messages telling people that the Tutsis are planning to take over the country, that they must kill or be killed. Nothing's happened yet, but we hear rumors of death lists of government enemies. My friend Jonah says he knows for a fact about secret paramilitary training camps outside the city. I'm safe, obviously. No one's going to target the American embassy. The Rwandan government says everything's under control. There's even a UN peacekeeping force in place. What a joke that is. Seriously understaffed, and everybody knows it. Listen, really, don't worry about me. I just need to blow off some steam. Grin. Just whatever you do, don't say anything to Grandma. She hates the thought of me being so into Africa as it is. What they went through when Mom was born and Ida finally had to come out as a black woman, denial is not just a river in Egypt. So, how was Thanksgiving? Is Miriam still a vegetarian? Did your in-laws bring matzo ball soup again? Miss you guys. Love to all. Your very best cousin girlfriend, Nat. Marlene, I love you, and you're right, but it's not that simple. staff don't just march into the ambassador's office and demand a U.S. policy change. And it's not as if they don't know. The radio has started to call the Tutsis Inyezi, which means cockroaches. Squish all their cute little Inyezi noses, it says, and don't listen to those who say they are not Inyezi, because we have seen you. Okay, I actually talked to one of the aides, and he says I am definitely overreacting. Local rivalries, always regrettable, ancient tribal hatreds, you're doing great, blah, 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 promotion. I started to speak, and he looked at me kind of funny and said, don't identify too much with these people, Natalie, just because of your own background. You could get yourself into big trouble just when you were doing so well. I don't know. This is my first posting. Maybe it really will all blow over. Dear Marlene, Jonah and I were together last night. He told me I had to make the Americans understand. And I said, but they already know. They know, and they're not going to do anything. They really believe it won't be so bad. He just looked at me and he said, it will be terrible. How will you live with yourself when they evacuate all the Americans and you are back home on your couch watching on television as we are slaughtered? I won't leave you, I said. Bad movie. I won't leave you and our friends behind. He said, then you would stay here and wait for them to come and see your cute Tutsi nose? They will not ask to look at your passport. They will just squash you too. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I'm sick and I'm scared. Please pray for me. Natalie. Marlene, you're right. And Jonah is right. There are rumors that any day now, the militia will give the signal to begin a massacre. I can't wait until that happens. Even if I have to run naked, screaming through the embassy halls to get their attention, I've got to do something. Wish me luck. Maybe this is why I really came here in the first place, and not to be a diplomat after all. I'm closing my eyes now, and I'm calling on the courage of all our ancestors. I'm taking your hand, and Mom's hand, and Grandpa's hand with the calloused palm, and Grandma Ida's soft hand with the scent of lavender. I'm ready now to go and speak. Women would stand in solidarity and simply sing, Tumamina, send me, send me, send me, Lord. Tumamina, 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 Somandla. Esther went to the king's inner court. Smitten by her beauty, the king extended his scepter to her to spare her life. "What is it, my queen?" he said. "Ask for anything you want, up to half my kingdom, and it shall be yours." Esther said, "If it please your majesty, I want you to come to a banquet. Bring Haman." So Haman and the king sat together at the banquet that Queen Esther had prepared. And when they were sitting and drinking the wine, the king said, my queen, anything you want, up to half my kingdom, and it shall be yours." And Esther said, "If it please your majesty, I want you to come to another banquet with Haman." Now Haman was pretty pleased to be singled out by Queen Esther. But the thought of Mordecai the Jew refusing to bow to him still made him nuts. So Haman built a gallows 75 feet high to hang Mordecai on the next day. That way he could enjoy his meal. That night, they all sat drinking wine, and the king said, "Well, my queen, anything you want, up to half my kingdom, and it is yours. And Esther said, "If it please your majesty, don't kill me and all my people." The king stood up in a towering rage. "Who dares to threaten my beloved queen?" And Esther pointed at Haman, saying, "There is the man." "I'm the man. This is the machine, and you're the message. I'll call you back."
Beep.
"Hey, Nate, man, you think you could come over tonight and hang out with a bunch of us at Angie's? Her dad got her that new stereo for a car, and I said I'd help her put it in. You're my main man. Call me back."
Beep.
"Bo, you are so lame." "Yeah, man, sure, I'll help you. Just tell me what time. It's got to be after 6. You know how my mom is. Got to eat with the family." "Oh, yeah, so yeah, call me."
Beep.
"Okay, Nate, how about 7? I'll already be there." "Man, did I get Randy Andy in school today? He's walking down the hall, and I just stuck my foot out, and that little pansy went straight down, face down in the tile." Scream like a girl. "All right, man, talk to you later."
Beep.
"Hey, man, so what's with you and Angela these days? Any payment for the car stereo last week? Because not what I heard from her friend Sheila. She says Angela's been asking about me. Better look out, my man."
Beep.
"Nate, man, you leave Angie alone. You could get any girl in school if you wanted." "That chick Sheila, she don't know nothing. She's just spreading rumors about me and Angie because she wants to jump my bones. That girl is a serious lesbo. She should join that gay, straight alliance Mr. Grabowski's setting up with Randy Andy and his Twinkie pals."
Beep.
"Yeah, can you believe they let that happen? Gay, straight alliance. Like any straight guy in school is going to be rushing to join that one? Could be a chick magnet, though. Hey, maybe we should join."
Beep.
"Well, that's nasty. You're not going to get me near that queer club. Unless we can have a little fun messing with it."
Beep.
"Stink bomb! Meet us before homeroom in the bathroom outside from queer club headquarters if you want to." "Yes!"
Beep.
"No, man, I can't. Dentist appointment. Gotta go."
Beep.
"Oh, man, it was great. They closed the whole wing of the building." "God, don't worry. There's going to be more. We got a whole year of messing with Queer Club. By the time we're done, they'll be back in the closet where they belong." "Oh, yeah. Erase this, man."
Beep.
"Yeah, right, Cole. Let me know what's next."
Beep.
"Okay, Doug swiped some spray paint, and we're practicing on cardboard in his garage. You got to come tonight. Tomorrow is our art project at Queer Club USA."
Beep.
Nate, didn't you get my message? We need you there, Nate, because you're the man."
Beep.
"Oh, man, we almost got busted." "Those mothers. We only got as far as the queue in death to Queer Club, and we heard security. Somebody must have tipped him off. When I find out who, he'd better start saying his prayers. You shouldn't have missed it, man. It was awesome. They'll be scrubbing that paint off Grabowski's classroom for days."
Beep.
Well, I guess that shows them. You know, it might be time to chill out for a while, huh? This is getting kind of dangerous. Why don't you think about that?
Beep.
Nate, are you there? Pick up. Nate, Randy Andy is trying to seriously finger me for all that stuff with our art project. If they nail me, I'm suspended. My dad will kill me. Queer boy is dead. I'm going to show him not to mess with me.
Beep.
What's with your heart on for Andy, my man? Why don't you just leave him alone? The guy's just pathetic.
Beep.
That little queer boy hit me today when I told him to get down on his knees in the hallway. I mean, it didn't hurt or nothing, but it's time to get serious. We're going to beat the crap out of every single one of those lily-white, limp-wristed faggots, whether they're part of that club or just look like it. Anybody who's a member, anybody related, that's it, they're dead. All the guys are with me. We're going to show them the true meaning of fear.
Beep.
Well, I hear you, man, but you know what? There's a problem. You're going to have to put me on your list. I mean it, man. You throw away that list, or you got to put me on it and try beating the crap out of me.
Beep.
What the hell kind of message are you leaving me, Nate? What are you, queer or something? Is this some kind of joke? What?
Beep.
No joke, Bo. I'm not laughing. Because you got it. I'm queer. And I don't like your stupid spray paint. I don't like your stink bombs. I don't like the crap you're dishing out, man. Do you hear me? I do not like it. Message clear? Oh, hell. Let's go to hell, Bo. I don't care. Just leave those guys alone or you're going to have to deal with me, too. And I may be a lily-white, limp-wristed, fairy pervert, flaming homo, Twinkie queer boy. But you know I can still be the crap out of you.
Beep.
You got that, man? I am a certified friend of Dorothy. And I am going to kick your ass from here to Peoria if you don't lay off Queer Club.
Beep.
Wow, man. Oh, that's kind of heavy. You're gay. That's... Wow. Okay, so anyway, you still going to help me fix Angie's transmission? Call me back, man.
Beep.
This is another sing-along. You can play with me, and you can take my hand. Together we can skip on down to the present man. And you can wear my mommy's shoes and wear my daddy's hat. And you can even laugh at me, but don't you push me down. Don't you push me, push me, push me. Don't you push me down. Don't you push me, push me, push me. Don't you push me down. Well, you can play with me, and we can build a house. And you can take my ball and bounce it up and down. And you can wear my skates and ride them around. And you can even get mad at me, but don't you push me down. Don't you push me, push me, push me. Don't you push me down. Don't you push me, push me, push me. Don't you push me down. You can play with me, and we can play all day. And you can use my dishes if you put them all away. And you can feed me apples and oranges and plums. And you can even wash my face. But don't you push me down. Don't you push me, push me, push me. Don't you push me down. Don't you push me, push me, push me. Don't you push me down. Hold on, you got the words now? 1, 2, everybody, 2, 3, 4.
Push me, don't you push me down. Don't you push me, push me, push me. Don't you push me down.
So Queen Esther saved her people. gathered to celebrate forever the massacre that did not happen. It's called the Feast of Purim, and it's been celebrated ever since with feasting and revelry. Everybody exchanges gifts of food, sweet honey and hamantaschen, three-cornered cookies like Haman's three-cornered hat they give to the poor. In the old country, people would put on Purim spiels, crazy satiric plays that retold the story of Esther with a modern twist. They put on masks, disguises, dressed up as the characters in the story, and even obeyed the traditional injunction that this one night of the year you should break all the rules and get so drunk you don't know Mordecai from Haman.
Oh, once there was a wicked, wicked man, and Haman was his name, sir. He swore he'd murder all the Jews, though they were not to blame, sir. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. Tomorrow will be sober. Now Esther was the lovely queen of King Ahasuerus. When Haman said he'd kill us all, oh my, how he did scare us. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. Tomorrow will be sober. But Mordecai, her cousin bold, said, if guns were but invented now, this Haman I would shoot, sir. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. Tomorrow will be sober. Then Esther, speaking to the king, of Haman's plot did mention. Aha, said he, oh no he won't, I'll spoil his bad intention. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. Tomorrow will be sober. This guest of honor he shall be, this clever little smarty, and high above us he shall swing at a little hanging party. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. Tomorrow will be sober. All his cruel and unkind ways this little joke did cure him. But don't forget we owe him thanks for this jolly feast of Purim. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. Tomorrow will be sober. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. For today will merry, merry be. Tomorrow will be sober.
When I was a kid, I never knew who I wanted to be for Purim. I loved dressing up. It was a great way to get to services. I never wanted to go to services, but on Purim, I always wanted to go because I could all get dressed up, and everybody was, all the kids were dressed like the characters in the story. But if you were a girl, you really only had two choices for who you could be, unless you wanted to dress up like a hamantaschen, which was never really very appealing, or dress up like a boy, which was really scary. So you could be Esther or you could be Vashti. And if you were Vashti, you wore all this costume jewelry. You could wear mommy's high heels. You could put on incredible amounts of makeup. But if you were doing that, you were the bad guy. Vashti was kind of the bad queen. If you were Esther, you were the good queen, but you only wore a very simple gown. Maybe you could have a tinfoil circlet on your pixie cut. Yeah. But Esther becomes the quintessential good girl. She does what she's told. She doesn't ask questions. Vashti is the troublemaker. Vashti's one big line in the Sunday school play was, no. That's it. She just says, no. And Esther never says no, ever, ever, ever in the story. On the other hand, Esther is about simplicity. She's about natural beauty instead of Max Factor. She's about what happens when, as Wallace Stevens, the American poet, put it, after the final no, there comes a yes. And on that yes, the future world depends. I think that it is together that Vashti and Esther make up one whole, complete, and perfect woman. Vashti is the one who started it all. Without Vashti, there would be no story. There would be no empty throne waiting for our heroine to come and fill it. But without Esther, Vashti is only one giant no. there are times in your life when you've got to be Vashti, and there are times when you've got to be Esther. So I sort of imagine these two women, these two great queens, coming together at the end, sort of like this. Vashti says, "Nice job, Esther." Esther says, "Thank you, Vashti. But it took me long enough. I had to ask the king 3 times before I finally got up the nerve to say it. But you were brave. I was shaking the whole time. I was really scared. No point in letting that stop you. What did the rabbis say? When you save a single life, it is as if you've saved the entire world. And when you save the world, you also save your own life." I didn't feel like a heroine. You never do. You just keep on.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we'll get there, heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there, heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we'll get there, heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there, heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Whoa yeah yeah, 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 whoa yeah yeah. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we'll get there, heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and that road, it will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there, heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah yeah, 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 oh yeah yeah. Oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah.